Hi there, we're looking at reciprocals today. So the reciprocal of a number is the number it's been multiplied by to make the number 1. Important, always gives the number 1. Now, in your answer to this kind of question, you will rarely see the number 1, because quite often the answer leaps out at you without having to do much working out, and I'm going to show you why now. So there's 3 different ways we might be asked this question at GCSE. The first one is with a fraction. You might be asked, what is the reciprocal of 1/2? Okay, and the nice thing about fractions is the reciprocal is quite simply the fraction flipped. So you will get asked to write down the reciprocal of a half. Okay, so reciprocal equals 2/1. Okay, we just flip it upside down. And the thing with 2/1, actually, we can make it even nicer, because 2/1 means 2 divided by 1, which is actually just 2. Okay, you can simplify that one. You may be asked the reciprocal of 3/4, 3/4. Okay, the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3. And I'm just going to show you kind of why that works. Okay, because if we did 3/4 times by 4/3, do 3/4 multiplied by 4/3. Okay, and this is kind of why you're not expected to kind of do this proof in your exam, okay, but I'm just showing you why it works. So when we're multiplying fractions, it's a nice one, the multiplication. We multiply the top, multiply the bottom, so we get 3 times 4, which is 12, and 4 times 3, which is 12, and 12 divided by 12 is 1. Okay, so that proves that they are reciprocal of each other. So the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3, and vice versa, the reciprocal of 4/3 is 3/4. So it's quite nice with fractions, because you just flip them upside down. And that's why questions about these tend to say, write down the reciprocal. Okay, and when you're asked to do that, reciprocal, let's say, of 7/9. Okay, and in an exam, it's a bit of a clue. If you're asked to write down something, it generally means there's barely any working out to do. You shouldn't need to do any working out. The answer is in front of you. So if you're asked to write down the reciprocal of 7/9, you should be able to see the answer, okay? And the answer is 9/7. You're just flipping it, okay? You don't need to do any working out, and that's a bit of a giveaway here. So there are your fractions. That's how we do it for fractions. The next one we're going to look at is integers, and remember, an integer is a whole number, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. I am still using up old worksheets here, so excuse my photocopying instructions on the back of it. I can't get rid of it. So when we're looking at integers, our whole numbers, the reciprocal of them is a really nice one, and it works in a similar way to fractions. Okay, so I might look at the reciprocal of 4. And the reciprocal is just 1/4. Okay, because we could, if we wanted to, write 4 as a fraction. 4/1 is a fraction if we wanted to. Okay, we don't need to, but in a similar way to our 2/1 equals 2, it's the same thing here. It can be written like that, and therefore the reciprocal, we flipped it upside down, and that's how they work. You don't need to do that though. All you need to know is you put 1 over your number. Okay, so we might say the reciprocal of 6. Okay, reciprocal equals 1/6, and so on. These are really nice. I'll just do one more. 214, the reciprocal equals 1/214. Okay, and the same way as before, we'll use this nice one here. We can prove it. Like I say, you don't need to do this in an exam, but you can prove it. Okay, because 6 multiplied by 1/6 equals, we just multiply along the top, it becomes 6/6. 6 times 1 is 6/6, which is 1. So that's why it works, okay? Now then, there's one more, and this one's a little trickier. Okay, this one is a little bit trickier, and that's why I've left it until last, so you can have a bit more of a think about it. Decimals. They're not horrible. They're not horrible ones to work out at all. You've just got to remember something a little bit different. These are the kind of questions where you're asked to work out the answer. You're not asked to write it down. You could well be asked to work out the reciprocal of 4. Okay. Oh, excuse me, we've just done that one. Of 0.25. Never guess what the answer is going to be, eh? So work out the reciprocal of 0.25. Your clue is in the work out. You're going to have to do some work here, okay? It's not going to be just looking at it and seeing the answer. So to work out the answer to this one, what we're going to do is, if we know that our reciprocal, let's call it R, anything, we just don't know what it is yet, times by 0.25 equals 1. And we know that because that's what our reciprocal is. It's something that times by the number we've got to give us 1. Okay. The inverse of timesing by 0.25 is to divide by 2.22. To divide by 0.25. Okay. So what we're going to do, the reciprocal is going to be 1 divided by 0.25. And you can type that into your calculator. That is absolutely fine to do that. That does give us 4. Okay. The reciprocal of 0.25 is 4. Now I'm going to show another one. Now we're going to work out, I'm not going to write all of this again, but we can do little things like this. Work out the reciprocal of 0.6. Okay. Now without all of this stuff, I don't need to get too concerned about this. What we need to do for our decimals is quite simply do 1 divided by 0.6. Okay. You pop that into the calculator, 1 divided by 0.6, and you get an answer of 1. Lots of 6s and a 7. That's been rounded, it's 6 recurring, it goes on, okay? So your answer is 1.6 recurring. That's because that 6 doesn't end, the calculator's rounded up the last one there. Okay, so there's the reciprocal. One more of them, let's have a look down here. Just pop a line over there so these don't get mixed up. The reciprocal of, let's say 0.75, okay? Is, let's pop that into the calculator, we do 1 over 0.75, and that might help you to look at it like that, because actually what you're doing is the exact same thing that you did with the integer. Okay, you're doing 1 over the number. Okay, it's the exact same thing, but in this case here we're actually going to calculate it. Okay, so you're working it out the same way, but we're going to finish that division. So 1 over 0.75, which equals 1 divided by 0.75, which is 1.3 recurring. Okay, so 1.3 recurring. There we go. Okay, so that's how we do them. They're quite nice, and they do fall into these kind of 3 distinct categories. So what you need to do is, when you ask your question, first of all, what am I being asked to find? Is it a decimal? Is it a fraction, or is it an integer? Okay, and then you could have like make yourself a little set of rules for what to do for each one. The fractions we flip. The integers, we put 1 over them and leave it like that. And the decimals, we put 1 over them, but finish the calculation, okay? So it's a division, and get your answer that way. Okay then, so I'm going to leave you with those, and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.